What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Force Strategy Gaming. We're going to be taking a look at some more StarCraft 2 commentary today. Today's series is going to be between Wegiga's Loner and TyLooJim. We are on the map Antigua Shipyard with TyLooJim spawning in the upper right-hand spawn location as our red Protons player. And then down over here in the lower left-hand spawn position, we've got Wegiga's Loner as the blue Terran player. Alright there, allow me a moment to clear my throat. I'm going to apologize ahead of time, guys, if I sound a little stuffed up. Well, it is because I am. Winter setting in on us, and as a result, starting to come down with the sniffles. That is terrible, yes it is indeed, but that's not a big deal. I just wanted to let you guys know if I sound a little backed up, that's the reason why. TyLooJim here, of course, starting off with that pylon nice and tight, nice and close to the Nexus. No reason to really bring that out too far to the front of his base. Certainly doesn't need a wall off against his Terran opponent there. I got a little conversation going on between the two. Unfortunately, that is not a language I can read. So if we could get some translators down there in the comments below, that'd be beautiful. Certainly asking a question there with that beautiful question mark. And look at that, we also have a little house going on. That is wonderful, wonderful. How exciting indeed. I don't know what's going on, guys. TyLooJim dropping his gateway, then immediately moving out with his scouting probe after dropping off the minerals that he did have on hand. And again, we'll be moving out with his scout. Now first, it does appear like he may be checking that upper left-hand spawn location, and if he is, then he will be a little bit late on scouting out his opponent Loner. And actually, this should buy Loner enough time to get out that first Marine, and as a result, deny much scouting at all from TyLooJim. It does appear like at the same time, Loner moving out with his SCV scout as he is just a little bit over halfway complete building that racks. Now very notable, of course, here for Loner is that there is no refinery, and with that we're going to of course assume that we will be seeing a 1-rack expand from him. So Loner opening up with a quick expand build, and hopefully, especially with that being the case, he is able to get out that first Marine and deny the scout here of TyLooJim. Otherwise, TyLooJim will be fully aware of this expand build that is coming out here for Loner. So as you can see, that Marine about halfway through, and I think he should be all set. I don't believe TyLooJim is going to be able to make it inside of the main there, and it'll be time for him to work on building that expansion. First, checking the lower right, Loner has not scouted TyLooJim yet. He will be moving into his main base in just a moment. That expansion coming down, though, at the low ground, and that allows TyLooJim to see perfectly. In fact, he gets his probe all the way in the base due to a little bit of miss micro there from Loner, and he gets a spot that there are also no refineries going on. Of course, something he could have assumed upon scouting out that expansion, but still, very nice there, and very unfortunate for Loner. Building his expansion on the low ground was obviously a dead giveaway as soon as the probe managed to get in there. I'm assuming that he was just hoping that that probe wasn't going to be there quite as early, but again, as we saw, it certainly was. Got a full scout and then makes it out home safely. TyLooJim will be heading on back now with that probe and hasn't lost him quite yet. First Stalker coming on out right now. Zealot's already in play. The SAV will be making his way back home, and he should actually be safe now. Stalker followed up with a second Stalker. TyLooJim, though, still on one gateway, so he could very well be responding with a 1-gate expand. I'm almost going to expect him to do so, unless he wanted to drop a couple more gateways and try to push out and be a little bit aggressive early on. However, with some bunkers, that's going to be a little problematic, and actually a Loner, as we can see here, is in fact coming out with a bunker. One Zealot and the Stalker making their way across the map here for TyLooJim. Again, really not going to be able to do much at all against this bunker. And ooh, is Loner. Okay, scouting out, checking the third base area over here, that second expansion, to try to see if there is any proxy pylons or any hidden scouts or anything like that. You can see that bunker was able to shoot back the Zealot and Stalker. And unfortunately, TyLooJim not going to be able to do much at all with that. We do have a second gateway coming out here for TyLooJim at the exact same time, dropping his assimilator, and as we can see over here, he did respond with an expansion of his own, deciding to go 1-gate expand, and that's certainly going to be very strong for him. Although a little bit later than Loner's expansion, he'll have it up early enough so that he can still get a fair amount of resources there from it. And actually, SCV Scout working his way on in, and ooh, there we go. TyLooJim finally able to respond there, and the pylon being placed here on the low ground with the expansion there for TyLooJim. TyLooJim with a Stalker at the center of the map does have map control at the moment. We're just seeing Marine heavy at the moment here from Loner. In fact, just now getting a tech lab there in one of his racks. He's sitting on 2 refineries right now, and just will be working up his bio for the early stage of the game. We expect to see that factory ideally sometime soon. He's got really 2 options. He can come out that factory soon and work his way up to medevacs through that starport, or he could just try to get some tech early on with that combat, with a stim pack, combat shield, anything like that, as we can see concussive shells are coming out as well. But there you go, just sticking on those 2 refineries for now. and we'll be working out some Marauders, and it looks like he's going to continue to delay that factory as he tries to get up a nice healthy mix of bio early on, allowing him to defend himself much more easily. Now we do have that robotics in play for TyLooJim. TyLooJim will be coming out with an observer first. We expect him to see at least one, possibly even two. That way he can defend himself against any sort of Banshee harass, Cloak Banshee harass that he may be seeing, although he's probably going to be scouting out to see if that's even a possibility before he bothers coming out with that second observer. So yes, at the moment, just sticking on the one, we'll be moving into the main base of Loner, spotting what he has for production buildings, and then taking it from there. We can see that stim pack research is coming on through, and again, still no factory, so he's just working up a nice healthy bio mix early on in the game. And I almost do expect him, as a result, to try to come out with some sort of a small push. But there we go. There's the factory right now coming out for Loner at the natural expansion spot. Observer moving on up. Let's see if Loner's able to spot that and drop a scan. TyLooJim making his way into the main base right now, scouting out just those 3 racks and not a whole heck of a lot else. We'll be checking the back of the base just in case there's some hidden tech back here. As we can see, the Loner, in fact, did come out that factory at the natural expansion, so we will see if that observer scout manages to make it down there without being spotted and scanned for. Let's take a look here. TyLooJim working his way on down with that observer. Still, Loner has not scouted it out, and now he has finally gotten the vision that he needs. There's the factory, so now he knows, okay, now working his way up into starport tech. He knows not to expect any drops anytime soon, as that starport is just coming out, as well as that reactor, allowing for that hot swap to get those double medevacs as soon as possible. All right, let's take a look over here. We're sitting pretty sentry heavy, allowing him to force field this ramp just in case he does see any pushes from his opponent. Right now, still sitting on just those 3 gateways. His robotics will be coming out with Immortals. He's working up those weapons and armor level 1 upgrades there for his ground units. As we can see right there, both 4 just sitting right over there behind that natural. But yes, at the moment, just working off of Gateway Tech and Immortals. Now, he is also coming out with a 3rd expansion over here. That 2nd expansion is what I mean to say. That 3rd base here coming out for TyLooJim. So deciding not to go right away up into Colossus or High Templar Tech. Instead, he's going to be pretty happy, but working his way into another expo. At the same time, we can see Loner himself is also coming out with an expansion. It does look they're about even in terms of when they got it. They pretty much got it about the exact same time here. So there you go. Both players working their way up into that 3rd base and just continuing to work on their macro and try to get up at least sufficient forces to defend against any possible push. Loner now coming out with that factory scout. Will be making his way across the map and probably going straight into the main here of TyLooJim, making it so they won't have to drop many more scans to try to get some intel. He would prefer, of course, to rely on that factory scout to just check those tech and those production buildings inside of the main base of TyLooJim. TyLooJim preparing to deal with any possible Banshee or drop harass by coming out some stalkers here in the main. That's also going to help him deal with this factory scout as it makes its way towards his base. Now that factory scout has been spotted out just on the edge there, as you can see, taking a look at TyLooJim's vision, so he should be aware that this is coming and hopefully be able to quickly snipe it out of the sky as a result. SCV scout making it into the 3rd. So Loner does know about that 3rd base, and again, without having to drop a scan. An observer over here for TyLooJim, able to scout out the army that is moving right now. Now we got a small force preparing to drop inside of the main base. At the same time, the rest of the force here for Loner moving across the center of the map. See you later, Stalker. That gets taken out. Factory scout moving up. Unfortunately, that is met by some stalkers. That should cause some pause here for Loner. Loner, no. There we go. Finally dropping inside of the main, and here we go. We got a 1 medevac filled of Marines and Marauders. At the same time, the bulk of the force over here for Loner sitting in the center of the map. Now, TyLooJim knows about this because he's got that observer right on, and there we go. Drop it to force field. Stim pack going down. Nice force field wall, splitting the army right in half. Dropping the main base, still trying to do some damage. That will get quickly mopped up, though, as there are too many stalkers for him to deal with. Bile still doing what he can over here. There's a lot of force field walls, and there's still so many units doing nothing back here. And this is why it is so frustrating to deal with force fields and trying to fight in these narrow choke points. It's just that you lose half your army for that engagement, and it's really nothing you can do. And TyLooJim, with some beautiful scouting, able to see that Loner was coming from the front and from the side, had no problem fending that off. Now, he did, of course, take some damage. There's no question about that. The Loner is behind right now in terms of resources lost, and we did just have a few DT warped into play here for TyLooJim, so we will have to keep an eye on that, see what those guys end up doing for damage. And we got armor and weapons level 2 upgrades just about finished here for TyLooJim at the same time. What do we have here for Loner? He has just 1-1, about to get weapons level 2, also working his way up into a Ghost Academy. But at the moment, TyLooJim just sticking right now to pretty much gateway heavy. Again, obviously, as we see, he has thrown some DT into the mix. So DT going into that. Oh, making its way up. One's going to try to make it up in the main at the same time. We've got DT over here trying to do some damage. Just keep an eye on his kill count, sitting at 2 at the moment. That DT got taken care of, so now it's just this one that is left. He's got 3 kills right now, trying to actually force those mules away. That is beautiful. Forcing those mules off of the line and then moving back in. He has been spotted though, so it's just gonna be a matter of time until we see a scan there. TyLooJim realizing the gig is up. It's time to head back and trying to make his way past, but the scan giving him just enough vision to be able to snipe out. And as we can see, also that missile turret almost finished. There you go, that is it. DT taken care of. Loner didn't lose too much there. Still have a factory scout just kind of chilling out back here. And again, just sticking gateway heavy. Finally starting to work his way up though. Again, charge zealots. And we'll be at 3-3 upgrades as well at the exact same time. We do also have that robotics bay coming out, which will of course allow for him to come out with some Colossus. Let's see if we can find that bay, because I really have no idea. There it is. So robotics bay out. We will be seeing a transition into some Colossus there, into the main bulk of the army here for TyLooJim. TyLooJim also spreading out his forces there, some at the front, some there at the main base to deal with any possible drops. We got a big bio ball over here for Loner, but Loner has been scouted again with some beautiful placement there of the observers. TyLooJim knows that Loner is moving out. Do you want to take a quick look here? What do we have? We've got a total of 3 ghosts at the moment, 3 more just about to pop, and weapons level 3 upgrade just starting here for Loner, also getting the armor level 2. But in terms of upgrades, TyLooJim is quite a bit ahead. We also at the same time have a very strong push coming out here for Loner. Loner getting ready to engage. Charge zealots moving forward. Nice force field wall there. No Colossus in play at the moment. Trying to come out with some, but some nice force field walls, allowing this Protoss army to do quite a bit of damage. There's still a lot of bio though. And unfortunately, zealots unable to catch up there to the bio because of those force field walls. And ooh, getting a little sandwich here as we have got a couple of mirages at the backside. And Loner able to overwhelm TyLooJim. Will be forcing him back with the rest of his bio. He still has got some ghost in play. We'll be able to drop some EMPs once he gets enough energy. The Loner will be keeping up this push here. Taking a look at the resources lost, TyLooJim quite significantly behind at the moment. And it does look like Loner will be trying to snipe down this expansion. We get some stalkers and zealots moving from the backside, trying to get a sandwich there on the forces, but the DPS of that bio is just too high, getting healed up from those medevacs with that stim pack. It's a bit too much, and TyLooJim calling the GG. We saw a strong bio push from Loner just as TyLooJim was making his way up into Colossus tech, and even with that upgrade advantage, he unfortunately was not able to overwhelm Loners here, as his forces were actually safe behind this force field wall for quite a while, and that ended up hurting the zealot-heavy TyLooJim. All right, so game number 1 finished here, going to Loner. We'll be moving on to game 2 in just a moment. As always, if you like the content, please subscribe. Thank you for watching. Keep watching and keep owning.